if you're like me, you've got this little voice in your head that's constantly saying, don't throw that away, you're gonna use it someday. So you hang on to it and it collects dust in a corner or a drawer or whatnot. And then finally the day comes where either you or most likely somebody you know and live with is telling you it's time to clean stuff out. So you take this piece that you've had forever, you know you're gonna use it, but you just can't think of what, and you throw it away. Now the clock starts ticking because you know within 5 days you're gonna now find a use for that part, but it's gone. So what is the solution to this problem? I don't freaking know. I've got an apothecary back there that my grandfather built. It's not only got some of my treasures in there that I'll one day use, it has his treasures in there that he was going to one day use. And I do get some use out of those. The point being, I think, is that we aren't doing this for us. We're doing this for our grandchildren. This is the future, is hanging on to crap so they have something to use, right? Yeah, sure. So I guess as a partner in crime, or maybe the devil on your shoulder, today is going to justify our hanging on to things. We are going to use some scrap wood, and not only that, but I've got this little thing. I think it's called a horizontal toggle clamp. And I don't know where I got this. I've had it forever, the better part of 12 years anyway. And I always knew one day I was going to use it. And today is that day. We're going to use it on a tenon jig. So I think we should just get started. As Will Smith would say, well, let's get jiggy with it. Oh God, did I say that? Getting jiggy with it. And with that song stuck in our head, let's get started. These measurements may or may not help you. The inside measurements especially are based off of my rip fence on my table saw. You're really going to want to make sure you take your own measurements on that. The height and the width and all that, that'll probably work for you. These are really just based off of what I had available. That piece that I just pushed there, my original measurements I think were 12 by 13. This ended up being 10 by 14. The reason is I had a 10 1/4 inch piece by a 14 1/4 inch piece. I'm going to run just the thinnest line on this right now just to make sure that edge is square. Then I'm going to flip it around. This is the 10-inch cut that I'm making right here. So now I know both edges are nice and square. And I'm going to do the same for the 14 inches. And I'll use my miter gauge for that. I don't want to put this long of a piece in between my blade and the rip fence. It can really up your chances of getting a kickback, and if you haven't had a kickback before, they can be really dangerous. Now I'm going to do the same for the other pieces. These are going to be the stop block. So I'm cutting that just to make sure that edge is square. Then I'm going to cut it to width, which I believe I was doing, what, 2 inches? I can't remember the measurements right now. So get both those. I'm going to double up on that. 3/4 is probably enough. That's 3/4 plywood that I'm using. And it's probably enough, but I'm going to double it up just in case I have thicker pieces down the line. So I square up each edge, again, just with my miter saw. And then I'm going to make the final measurement. This looks like this is the 14 inches. This is going to, again, be my stop block. And I'll double cut both of those. That way I know they're exactly the same size. So by feel, I just make sure that they're lined up, and then I hit my mark and cut them. Now I'm going to glue those together. I've already got a lot of other things glued up. As you can see, I had to kind of steal some of these clamps from some of the things that I've glued up. You can never have too many clamps, and I realized it with this project especially, with these 2 projects that I have going on. I'm going to clamp this up, and this is going to sit pretty much for the rest of the day. I'll get back to this piece tomorrow. For you, it's going to be just a couple minutes. I wanted to make sure that the measurement that I had taken before on this, the top of the rip fence, was correct. So just to double check myself, I'm going to hit it with the clamp and make that measurement. And I did go and double check it, and it was spot on. You don't want this to be super tight because you do want this to be able to slide nice and smoothly on your rip fence. But you also want to make sure that it's not so loose that it moves around, that it's going to affect how your cut comes out and the squareness of your cut. So this is that top piece that I am cutting now to its exact measurement. Before making it completely permanent, I did want to make sure that it works. And as you can see, I've got a nice Goldilocks sort of slide here. Not too tight, not too loose. So I can move on to measuring out and cutting the back piece to size. Once I've done that, I'm going to set it on the main face piece and start laying out where the cross piece will go. I'm going to be drilling some pilot holes here. With my combination square, I just want to make a mark in between, in the center of those two lines, so that when I drill my holes it will be right in the center. Then I measure to the center here, which is 5 inches, and then from each edge I'm going to come in 1.5 inches. It was just an arbitrary number I picked. It doesn't have to be 1.5 inches. I like the way 1.5 inches looked. I went with 1.5 inches. I just want to leave enough room so that it doesn't split the wood. I decided I wanted the other side to be facing out, so I'd already marked the holes on this side. Instead of countersinking them, I just drilled through so I knew where they were, and then I countersank from the front. We'll move to the back piece and we'll make the measurements the exact same. I'm measuring in 3/8 of an inch right here, which is half of 3/4. This will put my screws right in the middle. I've spaced these holes the same as I did with the front face as well. 1.5 inches from each edge and 5 inches in the center. And then I just drill those holes out and countersink them. I'd considered editing this part out because I don't want you to think that I make mistakes, but everybody does, and I want you to see how to deal with them. My original layout piece I put on top of my line instead of under my line, so all 3 of those holes are actually too high. So I went back through, relayed out where the holes were going to go, and drilled 3 new ones so that my cross piece will sit in the right spot. I really want this jig to be perfect because it is going to have to be accurate in order to make proper tenons. If this were a client's piece, I would start over completely and just have to eat the cost. But where it's for me, a little bit of wood filler and maybe even some paint isn't going to bother me. And as you can see, everything needs a good sanding. From there, I'm going to move on to the angled cross pieces. This is just going to make sure that the top stays square with the base. This piece is cut to a width of 5 5/16 if you're following along with the original plan. What I'm doing up the top here is I came in about 3/4 of an inch just to give me a little extra material to screw into. Then I'm going to connect those marks and cut that line. Once that line is cut, I'm going to come back over, line it up, and I'm going to mark the straight cut on the next one so I can have both pieces and they'll be exact. And with that cut, it's time to glue and screw those in place. So I'm laying out along the edge, again coming in 3/8 of an inch so that I can drill some pilot holes so that I don't split the wood and they'll sink down and not get caught on anything, the screws I mean. Give them a quick little sand. It's a lot easier to do this before everything gets put together. And with all the pieces finally prepped, we are now able to start assembly. There is one last bit of layout I do need to do, and that's figure out where the holes are going to go for these cross pieces. I wanted to measure the depth of my screws to make sure I don't drill through the front. These are 1 5/8 deck screws, and I'm using these just because I had some. I want to drill and countersink those holes as well from the front so that the screw heads don't sit proud of the board, and give them a little sand, make sure everything is nice and smooth. I'm going to hit it with some glue and my patented glue spreader, then screw that together. The angle supports are going to get glued and screwed as well. Even though I'd carefully measured the depth of the screws, I should have pre-drilled because I split the wood in the front. So what I'm going to do is just glue it, clamp it, and then re-screw it. Once that's dry, it'll be fine. But still kind of a pain. So on the other side, I made sure I pre-drilled first and then used the screws, the way you're supposed to do it. And upon inspection, I realized I'd messed up. The angle brackets are on backwards. They're facing the wrong way, so I had to take it all apart after all of that and put it all back together. So with those going the right way now, I re-glue everything, clamp it so it doesn't move, and then do one more test fit before making it permanent. Yeah, whew. And then I screw everything together. With the main body put together, I'm going to switch back to the support block that I glued up the day before. Like the other pieces, I want to square up one edge, then flip it around and square up the other edge. With that smooth, I'm going to clamp it at the top, then bring it over, and I want to make sure that this piece is square with the tabletop, not with the piece itself. This is where it's really going to matter that it is absolutely perfectly square. So I took a lot of time to make sure that was right. Then I drilled 3 pilot holes just in the main piece. Then I screwed the support block into that using 1¼ panhead screws. I want to make this so it can be removed because it is going to be sawn into. Make sure that your bottom screw is high enough that your blade won't hit it if it's at its topmost setting. And that is done. I do want to add this toggle clamp to the side, but what I've realized here is it is not big enough to actually reach the piece that I am trying to clamp with a double layer of 3/4 inch plywood. So I'm going to cut out the top 3/4 in order to allow it to reach the piece. So I'm using a razor knife here just to score the outer edge so that I don't have any tear out. Then I'm going to use a handsaw and cut down. Again, I'm only cutting the first 3/4. Because the pieces were glued together, I am going to need a chisel to clean this notch up. And I'm also going to use a finer tooth saw to help clean up the edges as well. I'll mark all 4 holes, and because I learned my lesson, I will pre-drill all of them as well. I'm using the same 1¼ panhead screws that I had used earlier to attach this. Oh, look at that! The piece that I used as an example earlier has made a cameo in the video, so I'm glad I didn't throw it away. This is a completed jig. Now the only thing to do is show you how to actually use it and make a good tenon with it. I'm raising my blade to 1/8 of an inch. There isn't a set size to this tenon, this is just an example. So 1/8 inch up, and I'm an inch off of the fence. I've put that stop block there because I don't like using the miter gauge and the rip fence at the same time. It can really increase the danger of a kickback. So I am going to cut all 4 sides at that 1/8 of an inch. I apologize for the blurriness, but it gives you an idea on what that will look like on all sides. I'm going to now raise my blade to just about the bottom line of that cut that we had made. And that's going to remove the material. This is where the tenon jig comes in handy. As I said, this is not a measured tenon, this is just an example. I've measured in 3/16 from both sides in order to have a 3/8 tenon on this. And then I've adjusted my fence to accommodate those measurements. And this is the first cut of our new jig. Oh, I love it! As you can see, it does cut into that support block in the back. That's why I made it so that it can be unscrewed and replaced over time. With a little flip around, it gives me the exact same measurement on the other side. Then I readjust the fence so that I can get the top and bottom as well. I am happy to say that it cuts perfect tenons. You can see it right there. I will normally have the mortises cut first and then make the tenon to fit that because I can adjust it so that it'll fit nice and tight. But there's our completed jig. I hope it works well for you. If you like this video, please hit like and subscribe. Check out my other videos. You're going to see how to make a mortise in the upcoming video, which is a vanity table. Till then, see ya!